Welcome to the Krusty Fox and Season 2, Episode 11 of Sex and the She. This week we're crawling up the food chain in an installment called Evolution, which features this,
cannolis and cream puffs and tarts, oh my!
and this.
Oh my god.
Check out the link on screen now for a playlist of every episode from the very start, and don't forget that if this tickles your fancy, you should drop a like and subscribe for more every week. And if you enjoy a good dumpster fire, check out my new series on Netflix's Social Experiment and Exercising Cringe, Love is Blind, using the link above. We open, literally, on Miranda getting a checkup from her gynecologist, which Carrie's voiceover tells us is the most humiliating experience that a woman can have. Somewhere in the background you can hear the writers screaming at each other to hold their beers. At lunch, she reveals to the others that her routine test results uncovered a lazy ovary.
My right ovary has given up hope.
That's enough to send Miranda into a downward spiral, in which she labels her body a biological underachiever, but perhaps explains away her murderous frenzies as attempts to gather replacement parts. When Carrie grabs her purse to pay for their meals, something which everyone else allows to pass without comment, but I would assume is a sign that she's recently received a terminal diagnosis, her underwear flops out onto the table. Big, it seems, acts weird about her leaving things at his place, and she has to carry it all in and out of his apartment with her, a courtesy she doesn't extend to her senses of pride and self-worth. After receiving some reassurance that enough time has passed in their relationship for her to have at least squatter's rights to a draw, she decides to take some action. Never one for drawing a line as much as sprinting past it while scream crying. Before long, Big's bathroom cabinet looks like a Sephora clearance bin. I dunno, call me old-fashioned, but if your boyfriend's rules mean that you'd need a CSI crew and an industrial-strength blacklight to find evidence of you having been within a mile of his apartment, perhaps there's a bigger issue to address there. Because the gods have abandoned us, elsewhere Charlotte's out on what she thinks is a mate date. It's with dessert chef Stefan, a characterization vying for awards in the most homosexual and laziest stereotype categories. As she clambers into a taxi,
Good night.
resulting in confusion over his true orientation for Charlotte, who had assumed that he was just stone cold gay.
Everyone is just who they are, and who they are is just stone cold gay.
Out with the girls, Charlotte's bewilderment leads Carrie to launch into a theory so pig shit stupid and obviously problematic that it physically pains me to have to relay it to you. She proposes that Stefan could be one of two things: a
Straight gay man,
or a
gay straight man.
The gay straight man, she claims, is native to Manhattan and was spawned as a result of overexposure to stereotypically feminine interests like fashion and musical theatre. Like it's a mutation, and they're all C-list X-Men within practical combat applications. Samantha further elaborates that this particular type of man is heterosexual but has a lot of great gay qualities. I take that to mean isn't a total asshole, and to that I say try dating a gay guy and see how long that delusion lasts. When Carrie points out the teeny tiny purse in her hands, Charlotte realises that she left her stuff at Big's with a knowing look that says she might as well have written "Carrie was here" in her own shit on the toilet wall. When Carrie also reveals that she made an offering to Big's porcelain throne for the first time, Charlotte explains that this is a sign that the romance has gone out of their relationship. Frankly, even at the beginning, you'd have had more luck finding a pulse at a Doomsday Cult's cocktail party than romantic intrigue in Carrie and Big's dynamic. Thankfully, all of this bullshit is interrupted by the arrival of a drink for Samantha from former lover Dominic, who's lurking nearby. Samantha strolls over to say hello, breezing past him, having dumped her for an Icelandic model because she believes that she's since evolved past him. As we'll discover, she shares that honour with anything more genetically complex than sea monkeys. Later that evening, Big shows up at Carrie's apartment with a Barney's bag full of the old tat she'd been leaving like droppings all over his apartment. For once, she confronts him and says he should leave things at her place too, but Big does his usual by pretending not to understand normal relationship dynamics. Because he's a dick. After he successfully dodges another serious conversation, she lies in his lap and he scratches her head like he's rewarding a dog that he just trained not to crap on his rug. I wish I was making it up, but look, there it is. But the next morning, it's still on her mind and leads to her burning question of the week. Are New Yorkers evolving past relationships? That Friday night, Samantha's on a mission to prove that they most certainly are. She's dressed to kill for dinner with love rat Dominic and has revenge on her mind. But her plan to leave him with danglers so blue they look like they've been chewing something they found on the floor of Willy Wonka's chocolate factory hits a snag. It's his cock. The snag is his cock. At Stefan's bakery, Charlotte decides to draft in what we're told are experts in order to drag him kicking and screaming into a label. Those experts are Carrie and Stanford, whose usual attitude to sexuality reads like the Westboro Baptist Church were invited in as guest writers. Stefan fires off a fresh round of mixed signals, leaving Charlotte no closer to figuring him out. His royal blatchness suggests that he must be straight because he finds him attractive.
Oh my!
Which I would criticise, but it's actually the closest to reality anything he's said has ever come, so I'll let it fly. One quick aside though, this isn't the last time that we're given the distinct vibe that the creative team had some questionable beliefs. In this case, they pretend bi and pansexuality doesn't exist and that defying binary classification makes you both confused and confusing. To some degree, it's a product of a less enlightened time, but you'd have to go pretty far to find a show responsible for more bi-pan erasure. Like Will and Grace far. Regardless, this show was created by, and is often written by, members of the LGBT+ community, and that this is how they choose to represent themselves and others, frankly, makes me want to sit on a knife. Anyway, Miranda is out on a date with fellow lawyer Joseph, who she's rejected in the past due to his hair plugs, and, I assume, appalling taste in ties. Her admission that she's considering freezing her eggs, which, regardless of whether someone asks, is not what I'd call first date territory, sends Joseph off on an anti-science and very anti-women rant.
Here's a good idea. Why don't we just eliminate men altogether?
Hey!
That makes this their first and last date, but considering how Joseph's follicular situation looks like someone gave a ferret a full Brazilian and then dropped the wax strips on him from the top of a skyscraper, I doubt she'll lose any sleep. Back at Stefan's, Charlotte stops messing around and just outright asks him if he's gay. He incredulously responds in the negative, and that's enough for our Miss York, who hops into his bed for a bit of rough and tumble while Cher's Believe plays in the background. Which suggests, at least to me, that while Stefan might not be, his CD collection is at least bi-curious. Samantha's bed, on the other hand, is still occupied by Dominic, and her plan for revenge has been thoroughly derailed by her returning feelings for him. Maybe that's his ick, because he swiftly announces that he and his ex-wife are giving it another shot for financial reasons, which is, as I'm sure you know, the top romantic reason for rekindling a relationship. Carrie tells us that the one positive of this is that it reminds Samantha that her capability to develop romantic feelings is still intact. That really shouldn't have been in question, obviously, but remember that all of this is being recounted to us by Carrie, who repeatedly makes clear her belief that Samantha needs to be taken somewhere to have her Devil's Fun slide exercised.
Smash that like button and subscribe right now.
The morning after the night before, Charlotte awaits breakfast from Stefan. When she jokes that dating him is going to cause her to gain 10 pounds, he responds that she'd still be gorgeous, as though she just announced that she's on the brink of morphing into Ursula the Sea Witch. It's another Disney staple, however, which brings it all crashing down when Stefan's kitchen is visited by a mouse. He screams.
Oh my god.
He flails. He leaps up onto a chair.
Oh my god, oh my god.
It's all very stereotypical, but serves to end things between them because Charlotte can't deal with non-traditional gender roles, which is at least consistent with how she acts when Rox skateboards into view 23 years later. The same morning, Carrie wakes up in Big's arms and is surprisingly not covered in the slime he expresses through his pores. After a number of immediate jabs about him not allowing her to leave stuff at his place, she discovers a picture of them in a bathroom drawer. She takes this as a positive sign, and one meaning that she doesn't need to leave her mark on the apartment, but worryingly doesn't question why the picture is under a towel and next to some toothpaste as opposed to, I don't know, framed and displayed somewhere like normal people do. It's probably easier for all of us if we just assume that Big is an undercover cop investigating how a D-list weekly columnist lives alone in a Manhattan apartment with a closet full of designer clothes. Don't try to tell me that it wouldn't explain everything if all those shoeboxes were stuffed full of devil's dandruff. So that's it for this episode. If you enjoyed it, drop a like, subscribe for more every week, and share this video with a friend, or Miranda will break into your house and extract your eggs. Last week I asked you whether the waiter-based indiscretion which Carrie graciously forgave herself for should have been the end of her relationship with Big. Commenter Mary Berry reckons that should have been it, saving us from the hell of the sequel series. Look on the bright side, it can't be any worse than the hell Big ends up in after episode 1. This week's question is, should Carrie have been so bothered about leaving her mark on Big's apartment, or is it not that huge a deal? Answers in the comments below please, and the best will make an appearance next week. Either way, thanks for watching, and if you can't be good, be crusty.